What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Big Guilty Cigars podcast. Today, I'm super excited. So I'm hoping that you guys enjoy this conversation as much as I'm going to. I have Hector Alonso from Espinosa Cigars. He is the master blender. So I am super excited, and I'm gonna let Hector go and give you guys an introduction of himself and his background. This way you guys can understand who he is.
Well, Hector Alfonso, I've been with Espinosa now for 11 years. I am the director of operations. I'm responsible for the blending, as well as, all the little ancillary things that happen at a cigar manufacturer, ordering product, making sure we're ready for the show, making sure that we have inventory, working on new product ideas, what flavor profiles we're looking for, any new products we're doing. So, like I said, I've been with them 11 years. We are still a small. I don't know if small is the right word anymore. I know
I don't think you can consider so small anymore.
All right, but we're a boutique. I still consider us a boutique company. I mean, we're not making 10 million cigars a year, but we're still that in that boutique market. We've had an incredible run the last couple of years. The Espinosa Cigar starts with Eric Espinosa, who has been in the industry now almost 23 years. He had a brand company with his old partner called EO. And in January of 2012, that company dissolved and he starts his own company. And the idea was just, the cigar, I don't think we weren't even thinking that there would be a boom like there is, like there's been in the last couple of years. It was just a matter of, getting back in the cigar industry for him and using the relationships and the acquaintances that he's made over his years and, launching your brand and establishing your brand again, because, a lot of guys don't get that chance to reestablish a brand. And when reestablishing a brand, try to, correct any errors you might have made on the way in. But this was not going to be, that was not the case in this company. This is his idea was to bring his son on and bring me on. And, it was just the three of us. And we were behind the eight ball. Our company started in February. The show was in July. So in a couple of months, we had to put together, we had to put a blend together, and have a direction on what we were going to do. While still trying to acquire some of his old brands that he had before the dissolution. But it's been great. I mean, listen, like I said, we're still small. As far as I'm concerned, we're still small. We're not making 100 million cigars a year. But we have a nice amount of fanfare. We have a really loyal following. Our cigars every year end up on so many of the media lists for, top cigar of the year, cigar, finalists. And while all of these cigar media sites are worthy of their accolades, are all equally worthy. Print media we've been very lucky with the print media. 5 years and 5 in the last, in 11 years, we've had 5 top 25s in Cigar Aficionado, which is, kind of a big deal. When you think of Cigar Aficionado, you think of established cigar, established lines and established core lines. It's a little older school, and yeah, there we are. And like I said earlier, we're very happy, what's happened in the last year and a half. We partnered with Guy Fieri, and collaborated for the Knuckle Sandwich cigar that came out last year in January, and that's just taken us to the next level. There have been phases in this company. I mean, our first couple of years, it was just bearing down and, trying to bite the bullet and, move on and trying to generate that steam. And then in 2015, we launched a cigar called the Laranja Reserva. And that was a Habano, but from a Brazilian Habano with just a very unique flavor. And it was our first benchmark cigar. All of a sudden, boom, hey, look, hey, who are these guys? Hey, that cigar hit the top 25. And then, our next big step came when we launched the Gateway cigar. We had a Connecticut cigar called the Crema. And the Crema has really kind of opened up our market a little bit more. We were no longer just catering to the pepper, the guys who wanted a high spice and a lot of strength in the cigar. They wanted something a little more approachable. So that came about. And I think this last step now has been this thing that happened with Knuckle Sandwich last year. I mean, that we came out of the gate hot with that cigar. I mean, we're talking about having two guys collaborate who are kind of peas in a pod, both kind of alpha dogs, both kind of, guys with very big personalities who like what they're talking and have, the like cigars, and, people are drawn to them. So just to give you an example, when you're talking about a company of our size, we launched this knuckle sandwich with two lines, just your basic lines. And going back just a little bit, if I can, this is a chance yet again to start something from the beginning, making sure that we check all the boxes, that we do it perfectly, because we had the experience from when his experience prior to Espinosa, his experience during Espinosa, now a chance to launch with Guy Fieri. We launched two lines. We launched Albano and Maduro, and boom, out of the gate, people were just crazy about a cigar. And I'm a cigar smoker, and I'm a nerd, and I'm a consumer. It's hard for me to get on board about a cigar that hasn't yet come out.
Mhm.
I mean, but the people were clamoring for this cigar sight unseen. I mean, listen, if it January 2nd and 3rd, Eric and Guy got together on a 2-day road trip where they hit maybe 12 to 15 shops in South Florida, which is Dade, Palm Beach, and Miami. Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach. They hit those 15 shops. They had maybe 100 cigars to show. They handed out some to some of the guys, the shop owners, and the orders were out of their mind. This cigar exploded out of the gate. And I don't want to say that we've been playing catch up, but we kind of have been. It's just, right now we are the wave with the knuckle sandwiches out of its mind. It's just crazy. And this is an industry where some lines come up, they show up on the scene and they're gone in 18 months. And this wave is not even starting to diminish. It's just really moving forward. And I think that's something you can attribute to, Eric's possible, his positivity, his, the leadership of the company, plus Guy, who is not just a celebrity, because there are a lot of celebrities who tried to make cigars.
Yeah.
But this is a guy who smokes cigars. This is a guy who who wears his knuckle sandwich t-shirt when he's doing his TV shows, when he's doing his commercials. He's at the NBA All-Star game. He's got a cigar in his mouth. He's at the Raiders game. He's got a cigar in his mouth. He's talking cigars. He is bringing cigars to the mainstream. And that is something that can not only help us, Espinosa, as a company, but help the industry, because we're an industry that we're constantly under attack by people who don't know what tobacco is. They just know that it's bad for them because they've been told tobacco is bad. So they've lumped us and cigarettes and vape and pipe and put us all in this one box. And, and we're all bad. And here's a guy that's helped, kind of break, trying to break those bonds a little bit. Yep. And, it's been let me tell you something. I've been with him now 11 years. I retired early from the police department to go work full time. I was working part time with him for the first 9 years, but I retired early to go work because I knew what we had, what was coming was going to be out of his mind, So that's where we're at, man. I mean, it's not super exciting, but it's a really good story. And, he started with nothing. Had 800 square feet. We had an 800 square foot warehouse. It was me, him, and his son, and we were staring at each other for weeks. And then finally, we got some product in, and and then the rest is just been a really, really good story.
So my first question is, and people go back and forth on this in my cigar group, in the Laranja, people taste orange. Is there some kind of orange zest?
All right. What happens is the first guy who made Laranja was drinking Sunny Delight that day. And then he spilled a little Sunny Delight on his cigars. Listen, man, there is no orange in that cigar. Well, there is no orange in that cigar. But the orange that you taste in that cigar is the power of persuasion. It's an orange footband. Yeah. It's an orange tinted wrapper. The wrapper has a slight orange hue to it. Yep. The band is orange. The name is orange in Portuguese. Mm-hmm. And the mind. Listen, one of the things I learned when I was during my previous career, I did a lot of stuff on body language, and the body doesn't lie, yep. And the body doesn't want to lie, and the body doesn't want to be lied to. Mm-hmm. And in the body, your eyes see orange, and you see orange, and you see orange, and all of a sudden you start to smell orange. And at first, it used to drive me insane. They go, hey, the orange taste in this is incredible, and I don't do a lot of events, like I told you, because I'm not that personable. Because after a while, the first time I'll laugh, and by the third time I'm like, what the? Can we curse on here, by the way?
Of course.
Okay, but like the first time, I got to make sure. The first time I'm like, oh, no, it's funny. The second time I'm like, is he serious? And the third time, what the fuck's wrong with you? But you have to. I tell her, I go, what? He goes, bro, if they say it tastes, tell them it's orange, man. Just tell them it's orange. Tell them what they want to hear. And I said, well, yeah, sure, why not? It was Sunny Delight, and there's a couple that are grapefruit, and one tastes like blood orange, but the orange taste that you're getting is just the visualization of the colors in the cigar, and the colors in the band, and the way of the box and the dressing, and you taste orange. There is no citric acid, any spray, any flavoring, any Sunny Delight, any tang. There ain't none of that in these cigars. It's just tobacco. But listen. If in your mind you taste orange, and that you like that, and it's going to make you buy Laranja, go. It's got a lot of orange in it. All right. It's got a lot of orange.
Yeah. So now, so since we got that out the way, let's go back to
just like Murcielago doesn't have any bat in it. People are asking me. Yeah, right.
Oh yeah. I would tell you this. This band for the Murcielago is probably it's creative as I'm gonna get into that because it's marketing genius, honestly. But I want to go back to first when you first started blending cigars and who taught you how to blend cigars.
Well, the blending story is pretty funny because I'm a cigar smoker. I've been a cigar smoker for years. I've always considered myself to have a very good palate, and not because I was told I had a good palate or I said I had a good palate. Like so many guys will tell you, I have a great palate. Why do you say that? Well, because I say so. No, I have a good palate because people bring me cigars all the time and go, hey man, what do you taste here? What's in, and it's kind of a parlor trick that I don't want you to think it's a parlor trick, but I know guys in the industry who are just coming up or new brands, and they'll bring you a cigar. Hey man, can you guess what's in this? I'm not a fucking monkey. I can't tell you what's in it. I'm not a what do you want from me? I'm not a Pavlovian dog or something like that. Oh, but anyway, I digress. I think I've had a good palate, and I've always smoked. Unbeknownst to myself, I didn't really hang out in stores until maybe 12, 15 years ago or so. I smoked brands that were very, very well received.
Yeah.
So I guess obviously I was smoking the right stuff, and I'd buy everything. I'd go into a shop. What's new? Oh, I don't like that. I like this. I like that. And retailers have gotten a lot better in the last 15 years. I think when I go into a shop, I go, what do you got new? That stuff there on the ground, on the ground. The guy, I got some boxes on the ground. Can you? Yeah. So I went through all that. So I had an idea of what I liked. So when I go with Eric to Nicaragua for the first time, he sees that he trusts, he says, well, I like your palate. It's not the same as his. We don't have the same palate, which is good because you don't want three guys on a panel deciding for a cigar and all of them like the same kind of cigar. You got to have some preferences. Like I don't smoke a lot of Connecticut. Jack smokes a lot of Connecticut. Eric does not smoke a lot of Connecticut. I like dark wrap. I love dark wrap. Not just dark Maduro Habanos. I'm talking about Mexicans and dark Sumatras and broadly. I like dark wrapper. Eric's not a big dark wrapper guy. So he sees that I really have kind of a knack for it. So we work on that first blend and we come back and I'm just constantly tinkering with, learning. I'm learning about cigars. I really am. At this point, I'm still learning. So we get a chance to do a cigar for Smoke Inn. Smoke Inn is a big store down here in South Florida.
Owned by Abe.
Abe store. So Abe gives us a first chance. He gives Espinosa a chance to do his first exclusive. So Eric tells me, hey, can you go to Nicaragua in November? I said, yeah, when are we going? He goes, no, I want you to go. I said, well, aren't you going to go? And he goes, listen, you seem to know what you're doing. You know what I like. Go down there, work with Willie, work with Amica, work with Nick Malello at the time, who was still with Drew Estate, pick their brains, get an idea of what's going on down there. Oh, my dog's acting like a fool. All right. Okay, so we I go down there and I start working on some working on some blends, and I had an idea of what he wanted. I know what he likes. He likes that high spice note, not necessarily too heavy, but a cigar that when you retrohale it, it stings your nostrils a little bit, it waters your mouth a little bit. So I worked on some blends, and then as time went on and as we progressed, I started to not just know the stuff he liked, but I started to get my own signature of what I liked. And obviously, not just I like, it's got to be something that I like, and Eric's okay with it, and it fits in the portfolio, So it came about that way, luck, the complete confidence on his part to let me go out and do what I have to do. And and there was a lot of trial error. People tell me all the time, man, I love your cigars. Everything you do is a hit. And I'm like, well, hold on there. I have a humidor. I have maybe, it's been 11, 12 years now. So I probably have maybe 50 or 60 left of some of the first cigars I made in the first couple of years that were just god awful terrible. Just dog rockets, just complete monkey shit, just the worst shit you've ever tasted. And every once in a while I'll grab one and I'll smoke it to remind myself that, yeah, this is where you started, bro. This was you can't, this is what you started with, and as we progressed as a company, so did our accessibility of better tobacco. Our relationship with AJ opened up, talking about a kid in a candy store, I get to, I go to work on my first blend there, which is Laranja Oscuro. And I remember, and it's the right thing to do when you're going to go work at another guy's factory. Eric says, don't forget to ask AJ to help you, to help you work on the blend. And I told AJ, hey, look, I'm going to be here Wednesday. I want to work on a blend. And he goes, well, I'll be in the States Wednesday. What do you want to do? I said, I'm looking to do this and this. He goes, just go back there and do it. He picks up the phone and he calls the guy in the back. And Godo is a term of endearment. I'm a heavy set guy, so it's calling me fat boy, but it's a heavy set. It's a term of endearment. Hey, Godo's coming tomorrow. Give him whatever the fuck he wants. And so when I go back there, and I don't know if you've got a chance to go to any of these factories, AJ is just full of these beautiful tobaccos. And I'm like, yeah, we're gonna have a good time here. We're gonna start making some stuff here, and it just became that. I have a baseline of what I like, but it's not just times what I like, it's what we're looking to do. What is the project? When we went to go make the Connecticut's that I made 5 that year. I made 5 blends, and 4 of them became production cigars for us and then for other companies. I can't go in there and make a powerhouse Connecticut. I'm looking to make a Connecticut that's accessible. So I have to learn, every time you go in there, you learn, this is what I'm looking for. And, when I talk about the guys that I really admire them and their work and what they've done, Willie Herrera was a really good friend of mine. And I'm a big fan of the stuff that he does, and the stuff that he's done with not necessarily Drew Estate, but the stuff that he's done with Herrera Steli. My favorite cigar last year was the Undercrown 10 anniversary, which is not really in my wheelhouse, but I just really love the way that cigar was made. I'm not a brand owner. I am part of a sort of a company, a part of a very good company. And when you go to the show and you see people start to split off in their subdivisions, I gravitate towards the guys that blend cigars, because it's a matter of listening and trying to pick their brain and hear what they did and what they did that didn't work and what they were going for and stuff like that. So, and to this day, I'm still a fanboy. I'll give you a perfect example. About 3 months ago, actually last year, Jack introduces me to Ernie, to Ernesto Perez Carrillo.
Wow.
So, I know who Ernesto Perez Carrillo is. I've seen him 100 times, but I've never been formally introduced to him. So when he goes, Ernie, I want you to meet Hector Alfonso. He's our blender. He goes, I'm familiar with him. So I'm like, well, right away, I'm like, I'm just trying to cover I got some of that jock wood, some of that man crush wood.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, you don't say. Yeah. He goes, yeah, man, why don't we get together when I'm in Miami and we'll have a cigar? So I'm like, yeah. He goes, yeah, get my number. So he starts the beginning of what's going to be eventually going to be a restraining order. He gives me his phone number. So, I text him and he texts me back. And then a couple of months later, we're at the Big Smoke in Miami. I see him again and he walks up to me, he goes, Hector, I haven't forgotten about you. Let's get together in 2 weeks. So I'm like, okay. So I get together and I go to his place and I smoke with him for 3 hours. And it was just me like, how did you do this? And how did you do that? And how did you get this? And how did you work with this? And this is a guy that I don't interject when he's talking. This guy's got Cigar of the Year awards up his ass, falling out of his pockets. All right. And he's giving me the time of day and talking to me about what he did and his struggle and his time and what he tried that didn't work and what he tried that worked. Listen, there are a whole bunch of small companies like ourselves. I mean, I don't want to say small, but I mean companies of our size that I respect the guys who make their cigars. I'm a big fan of Steve Sawhill. I'm a big fan of Skip Martin from Roman Craft. I'm a big fan of James Brown from Blackworks. I'm a big fan of I said, like, of Willie. And I'm sure that I'm going to forget somebody and I shouldn't, but I like guys who talk tobacco because I can't talk sales. Sales is not my strong point. If you're depending on me to sell cigars, we're gonna have shit. We got to have a secondary business. We're gonna have to sell mangoes or he'll do home invasions or some shit because it's not really my strong point. Now, the making of cigars and all that stuff, I'm all in on. And I really been lucky enough that I've made friendships with these guys. And when I go to Nicaragua, they open their doors to me and we talk cigars and we talk about and we just talk about the industry. And it's not like police work because there is some kind of brethren to it. There is some kind of solidarity to it. And I really enjoy it.
Well,
so, I mean, I hope I answered your question. I took you on the long route there, but
fine. I was like, like when I talk to, because Sanj is he's very good friends with Ernie. So, and the one thing that they always say is he's forgotten more about tobacco than you'll probably learn in the next 10 years.
I sat with Jose Blanco. Jose Blanco, I can literally tell you, has forgotten more about tobacco than I'll ever know. And you like hearing the stories from these guys, and you like not only that, them recognizing, without you asking for it, they're going, hey, I had that cigar that you made. I really like that. And I like being around guys that you can give them a cigar and that you don't have to play that trick like I've done with some guys in the past. I'll give them a cigar that I know is not good. Hey, try that. Oh, this is great. That's not good.
Yeah.
But these guys go, yeah, no, this is something missing here. I know there's something wrong. It's this. Try this one. Oh, this is much better. Yeah, I want them to know that I'm onto that game with them, and I appreciate that because when they hand me a cigar, I'm going to be honest with them and say, hey, look, I think something's missing here. I think you should try this, and I'm comfortable now that I can do that now after 10 years. I wouldn't have done that 5, 6, 7 years ago. Now I'm comfortable doing it.
I think like, especially like when it comes to Jose, all of these guys who you can really consider themselves kind of master blenders, because you have a lot of guys who have been blending for 5, 6, 7 years, and they'll call themselves a master blender because they're the head blender of that company.
Well, and see, you say master blender, and I'm glad you brought it up because I usually don't. I bring it up, and I didn't want to bring it up because it's this is our first time that we've met. I never call myself a master blender, not because I'm not, and it's not, but I think a master blender is one of those titles that you're given.
It's earned.
There are some guys now in the industry. I mean, listen, I want to tell you that it's an industry where we all love each other and it's kumbaya and all that other shit.
No, that's BS.
It's not. There are a bunch of guys in this industry that I'm like, how the you got quite a set of balls on you calling you a master blender. But these guys who tout themselves, I don't tout myself. You know who I tout? I tout our company. I tout our sales staff. I tout our marketing department. I tout our brand owner. I tout the team. I'm part of that, but I don't tout myself. These guys, when you start running across these guys who are too busy touting themselves,
well, and
you should be a little worried about that.
Well, and I think the one thing is, and you brought up Ernie, and the fact that he started, and probably most people know this, but he started off with La Royale. That was his first line.
When I met Ernie, I'll tell you how, when I met him, when I talked to him the other couple weeks ago, I told him we met many, many years ago. And he goes, "Oh, at IPCPR?" I said, "No, I was a young man on my department. And my first duty assignment was next to the Orange Bowl, where we had a housing police unit. And my sergeant, rest in peace, Joe Delancey at the time, was a huge cigar smoker. He was more of a cigar chewer, but
Yeah.
you know, he liked to have cigars. And we would drive to his El Credito, and he would sell us a bundle of Lavelles, 25 cigars for $17. I mean, we were paying 65 cents, 70 cigars. You know? And I said, "I met you then." And he goes, "Well, there's no way I'm going to remember that." Of course not. I was 100 pounds lighter. You would have never recognized me. 100 pounds lighter, I had a full head of hair, and I smiled a lot more. And then, you know, we kind of smiled, we kind of laughed about that. And that was one of those moments where you're like, oh, you know, it was my fanboy moment. And I still have them. Listen, as much as I complain about going to the show, and trust me when I tell you, I complain about going to the show because I'm just an ordinary old man. I don't like to travel. Nevada's hot as hell.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a beehive in there. It's just people, you know, so many people, but that's the nature of our business. And believe it or not, it only just dawned on me 3 or 4 years ago that people actually go and they want to talk to me, and I don't understand why, but they want to talk to me, and I've availed myself to it because I think Jack is one who said, "Buddy, whether you like it or not, you're one of the faces of this company, and people want to talk to you, and you know what, you got to suck it up and you got to do it." And I hate to say he's right because I don't like telling him he's right, but he's been right. And luckily Eric's given me the avenue to do it. Where do you want to go? You want to go there? Go. Where do you want to go to Ohio? Go. Yeah, go. Yeah, anything that's good for the company is good in his eyes, and you can't really beat that.
Yeah, at all. You know, but that comes with years of trust.